What is going on, guys? My name is Richard, and welcome to this week's weekly watch list video sponsored by MarketSmith. As always, we'll go through both the fundamentals and technicals of all the stocks on my focus list. And before we get to the charts, I do want to just quickly point out the usefulness of this table here, because you can quickly see that a lot of the stocks on this list have great earnings percent change last quarter, estimates for the current year, next year, and you've got a whole bunch with very strong EPS surprise, which is very important. You've got ALGN over 250%, DQ over 125%, and this can really lead to a strong uptrend because it catches the big funds by surprise when these stocks beat earnings in such a substantial fashion. So starting with AdaptHealth Corp, you can see excellent revenue growth accelerating the past 4 quarters. You have great estimates for 2021, up 70% in terms of annual EPS. You don't have the greatest IBD ratings over here, and the overall comps rating is 90. But overall, you can see an explosion in the number of funds over the past 2 years, especially in recent quarters, but you do not have any high quality funds investing into this stock. And overall, looking at the chart, you can see that it's moved up out of a stage 3 double bottom base here and isn't as tight as I would like, but it is respecting that key 21 EMA. And overall, the RS line is right near all-time highs and is heading the right direction with an overall rating of 97. And as for the setup, what I want to see is a break above this kind of pivot here that marks the top of this short-term shelf. And let's see, the pivot there would be 30.98. So that is AHCO. And next on the list, we've got ALGN. And overall, you can see last quarter earnings up 52%, sales up 21%, and after-tax margins up 24.2%. But you don't have a huge history of substantial growth. And looking at the annual EPS estimates, you can see in 2021, it's supposed to increase 77% with the revisions up as well. That's huge. And overall, the EPS rating is an 84. The group RS is a B-, the SMR rating is an A, accumulation distribution is an A, and the overall comps rating is a very strong 95. You've got a whole bunch of funds invested into this company and 2 high-quality funds in there as well. And you can see it had a big earnings gap up because of that earnings surprise, and so far has been consolidating that move and pulling back to 21 EMA in a very orderly fashion. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a bounce off this moving average, potentially a green dot early next week. And I've also got some alerts here if it takes out this high, and also this one, which is kind of a sort of pivot here at the high of 466.75. Overall, really good volume coming in here. You can see up-down volume ratio is 1.4. You've got a huge big blue bar on that EPS gap up where it finished right near the high of the day. So overall, very strong, and it seems like it's holding the low of this breakout. So I could imagine that it would pull back a little bit more, but I expected to find support at about 424.02. Next up, we've got AMD, which I already currently own, but I'm looking to add if it breaks above 87.05 or the standard pivot of 88.72. And overall, you can see excellent growth in terms of earnings and sales the past few quarters. Great estimates for both 2020 and 2021. Very strong IBD ratings, except for accumulation distribution. And overall, you've got a good number of funds invested in this company and 2 high-quality funds in there as well. And looking at the RS line, it's been kind of basing along with the price, but the overall RS rating is above 90, which is a good sign. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see, as I said, is a breakout above this pivot right here at 87.05 or the standard double bottom pivot at 88.72 on above average volume. And overall, pretty good action recently. You can see it's been coiling tighter and tighter. You had some move ups here, then some nice consolidations, tennis ball action a little bit. And so far, you don't see volume coming in just yet. So on these breakouts, I really want to see above average volume and ideally some blue bars in there, which means volume was higher than any of the previous down days within the 10-day span. So that is AMD. And next up, we've got AMRC. And overall, you can see great earnings growth the past 3 quarters. Last quarter, earnings up 111%, sales up 33%, and after-tax margins up 6.5%. You have good estimates for 2020 and 2021, although they're not blowout. Good IBD ratings over here, EPS rating 94, group RS A+, SMR rating B, accumulation distribution B, and overall comps rating 98. It's in a top group as well. And overall, you've got a good increase in funds over the past 2 years, but you do not have any high-quality funds in there at this time. And looking at the chart, you can see it's in a nice uptrend from the stage 2 cup with handle, and has been consolidating for the past few weeks, with the RS line right near all-time highs and the overall RS rating a very strong 96. So as for the entry setup, what I would use is a breakout above this pivot right here at 44.89 and an add potentially at this high at 45.53, or even a green dot early next week as it finds support near this 21 EMA level. So that is AMRC, and next up we've got BRP. And overall, you can see excellent earnings growth and sales growth the past 4 quarters, well over 100% the past 4 quarters. Last quarter earnings up 999%, sales up 72%, and after-tax margins up 13.6%. The EPS rating is an 84, the group RS is a D, SMA rating is a B, accumulation distribution is an A, and the overall composite rating is a 98. Looking at the fund ownership, you have a nice increase in funds, but you do not have any high-quality funds investing in this company just yet. And looking at the chart, you can see a nice strong prior uptrend, and now it's just above the pivot of a stage 1 double bottom with a standard pivot of 30.09. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a breakout above either these 2 levels, because it does have 2 inside days here, which is another form of volatility contraction. So you can use either a short-term entry here at 32.22, and I would not buy my entire position here at all. I would wait, potentially put on a third position here, and really wait for the confirmation as it breaks out above 33.21 on above average volume into new all-time highs. So that is BRP, and next up we've got DQ, which does report tomorrow. So I'm waiting after the earnings report before I would consider buying this stock. So overall, you can see excellent growth in terms of earnings and sales the past 2 quarters especially, and you can see excellent estimates for 2020 and 2021 as well, with the revisions up. And overall, the EPS rating is a 93, the group RS an A+, the SMA rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall composite rating is a 99. And overall, you can see a nice growth in funds over the past 2 years, but you do not have any high-quality funds investing at this time. And looking at the chart, you can see it's moved up from the stage 2 cup 156% in 101 days, and overall is consolidating this uptrend as well, and tightening up a little bit on this right-hand side. And overall, the RS line is right near all-time highs, although it does have to make it over this peak and is correlating along with price, and the overall RS rating is a 99. And as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a breakout above these highs here. I've got an early alert set here on above average volume and into new high ground. So that is DQ, and next up we've got EXAS. And this is one that the ARK funds have been buying, and you can see a huge breakout after its earnings report, and now it's been pulling back and finding support near this low. So overall, you can see nice revenue growth the past 4 quarters, but you can see it's not profitable, and looking at the estimates, it's not supposed to be in 2020 or 2021. And overall, you've got an EPS rating of 1, the group RS is a B+, the SMA rating is a C, accumulation distribution is a B-, and the overall composite rating is a very poor 54. But overall, you've got nice growth in funds over the past 2 years and 5 high-quality funds in there as well. And looking at the chart, you can see we've already mentioned the huge EPS gap here after this stage 1 cup, and right now it's pulling back below the 21 EMA but above the 50 SMA, and the overall RS rating is a decent 88. I would like to see this be higher, but overall it's pulling back along with the price. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a breakout above this pivot right here at about 125.82, or potentially a green dot bounce early next week on above average volume as it tries to find support at this low. Next up on the list, we've got IIPR, and overall you can see excellent growth in terms of earnings and sales the past 4 quarters, and you can see great estimates for 2020 and 2021, and an overall EPS rating is 74, the group RS is a D, SMA rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a B-, and the overall composite rating is a 92. And overall, you can see basically a double in funds over the past 2 years, but you do not have any high-quality funds investing into this stock. And look at the chart, you can see a nice gap up on this day right here on volume, and overall it's been pretty tight. It's actually 3 weeks tight. If we go to a weekly chart here, you can see the last 3 weeks have been very, very tight closes. And overall, the RS rating is 92 with the RS line right near all-time highs. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a breakout above this pivot at 158.60. And I really like how it's tightened up above this previous all-time high, the green line here, which is at 139.53. So you could also use a green dot early next week on volume. So that is IIPR. And next up, we've got JKS, another solar stock. And this stock also reports on the 24th, so keep that in mind. And overall, you can see excellent growth in terms of earnings and sales, but there aren't great expectations for 2021. The EPS rating is a 71, the Group RS is an A+, the SMA rating is a B, accumulation distribution is an A-, and the overall composite rating is a 95. And overall, you can see an increase in funds over the past 2 years, but you do not have any high-quality funds investing at this time. And overall, you can see the strong uptrend that it had just recently, and now it's consolidated, pulled back, and is now potentially moving up, although it hasn't quite broken this downtrend here, and the overall RS rating is a 99. And as for the entry setup, you can see that I've drawn in this line at this pivot. I'll see a break through this on above average volume above 68.74, and you've also got the downward trend line here, which would be broken at about 73.22, which lines up with this high right here. So that is JKS, and next up we've got NVCR, which I also bought on Friday. And overall, you can see excellent growth in terms of earnings and sales. Great expected growth for 2021. EPS rating is 76, Group RS is a B-, SMA rating is a C, accumulation distribution is a B+, and the overall composite rating is a 95. And you've got a nice increase in funds over the past 2 years and 3 high-quality funds in this stock as well. And looking at the chart, you can see it just peaked above this pivot right here, and overall is approaching those all-time highs at 140.89, with the RS rating at 94 and the RS line going the right direction near all-time highs as well. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is a continued follow through off of this day right here, and potentially if it opens within this space right here, within this wick, I would buy as it breaks above this high right here on above average volume buzz. Next on the list, we've got NVIDIA, and overall I did sell 2/3 of my position on this day right here, but I will be adding back if it moves up next week above this pivot right here. Let me draw it in right there. So overall, excellent growth in terms of earnings and sales, although you do see a slight slowdown here in terms of earnings. And you can see excellent expectations for 2021 and 2022. Great EPS rating, 97, Group RS, A-, SMA rating is an A, accumulation distribution is a C-, and the overall composite rating is a 99. And look at the fund ownership, you can see a nice growth over the past 2 years and a whole bunch of high-quality funds in there as well. And overall, you can see, looking at the chart, that it is within a stage 3 cup with handle with a standard pivot of 573.94, but I am looking to get in a little bit before that if it acts well next week. So as for the specific entry setup, as I said, I want to see a breakout above this pivot at 550.64 on above average volume and breakout of this tight action right here. So last on the list, we've got Tesla, which moved up well last week on the announcement of the S&P 500 inclusion, but it's right near the standard pivot of the stage 1 consolidation with a standard pivot of 502.49. And overall, you can see nice growth in terms of earnings and sales the past few quarters. Great expectations for 2020 and 2021. EPS rating is 76. The Group RS is an A+. The SMA rating is a C. Accumulation distribution is a B+. And the overall composite rating is a 99. And overall, you can see a huge growth in funds over the past 2 years, and you have 4 high-quality funds in there as well. And looking once more at the chart, you can see that the RS line has been basing on the price, and the overall RS rating is a 99. So as for the entry setup, what I want to see is either a pullback to 465.34 down here, and then a bounce upwards as it finds support potentially at this pivot right here, or a continued breakout above all-time highs at 508.61 on above average volume. So that is it for my watch list, and overall my top 3 setups for this week are AMD through these pivots, IIPR as it breaks out of this 3 weeks type pattern and approaches new all-time highs, and also an add-on to NVCR, either if it falls through on this breakout through this high, or as it breaks out into new all-time highs on above average volume. So that is my plan and watch list for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in future videos.